Okay, let's continue in the second part with some absolute positioning. I'm working on this ID warning, which is that bit of text down at the bottom. I want to move it up on top of the photograph. So I have to give it it's text, right? Just like with floating, with absolute positioning, text has to be given with. Good. And let's do some styling. Padding, so the text is inset a little bit. 1 EM, because that's what we've been using. You could use pixels if you want. And a color. Let's give that text a color. Remember, when we just write color, it's foreground color, in other words, text and borders. And let's give it a background color. Remember, when there's a two-word rules, there's always a hyphen. And position. Absolute. That by itself doesn't do anything. We need some numbers. We're going to say from the top, let's say 300 pixels. I didn't give you these in the assignment because you could just keep trying different numbers till you get what you want. And from the left, we're going to do, let's say 900. And we'll see how this works. I'm going to save that and run it. So you see now that text that was down at the bottom, remember? It was way down at the bottom, has now been styled with a width and color and all that stuff, and it's been stuck on top of the photo. And when I scroll, it stays in the photo. But there is a problem, and here's the problem. What happens if I make this page narrower? Somewhat narrower. This is still positioned relative to what? Where is it getting its numbers from? There's no containing block except for the entire viewport, HTML, and I mean the command HTML, opening HTML. So it's always going to be positioned, because we didn't tell it anything different, from the upper left corner, up there. So it's always going to go down 300 and over 900. Even when the page changes width, it's still going back there to get positioned. Now you say, well, why did we go from the right? Well, we could have gone from the right, but that would have also flexed when the page flexed. So what you really want to do is establish a containing block for this photo. Now, I'm not going to do this in this exercise, but I'm going to give you extra credit if you want to do it. In fact, let's go to the exercise and say, we've gone through all this stuff, except for navigation links. We'll come back to that. This extra credit area here, if you want to, after you finish this assignment, and we're almost done, if you want to do a new version and figure out how to establish the containing block for make that photo and the text that we want to move, put those into a containing block, like maybe a kind of div. You're going to have to move the warning graph into the div, for instance, the main div, for instance. And then you're going to make that main div a containing block, maybe with a position relative. That's what the trick is. And if you want to make that work, so that the idea is so that that warning block stays on the photo no matter what. It's actually attached to the photo more than to the entire page positioning. If you want to do that for extra credit, you can do that. I'll give you an extra day for the extra credit, but don't let it slow down your other work, so you can read through that assignment. Okay, what about navigation links? Well, that's the next part of this. I just wanted to give you an advanced look at navigation. And here's the navigation stuff below. You should read these pages about navigation. You're going to have to do navigation on your site like right away, like tomorrow. This is one way to do it. We've established for that nav area, which is we give it ID, gave it padding, the whole block, padding, margins, and a width. Good. How did I come up with this number? Just trial and error. Then I went to that list, the list items within that navigation area, and I gave it a list style type of none, got rid of the bullets, and I floated each item in there to the left. So each one of those is going to float to the left. And then I went to the main and I cleared it, because I don't want the main floating up. So I'm going to go clear the next thing in line, which is that main div. And then I gave the links within that nav unit a display of block, because I want to style them as little blocks. And it gave each one padding. I can give it a border if I wish. I'll show you that in a minute. And text decoration of none. This is a very simple kind of link styling idea. And how are we going to use it? Well, you can release it. Release the comments there and here. And let's save and run it. So what did we get? We got these little text links. We could do more to them. Of course, you could style them in lots of ways. There's some link styling you should be doing. But remember, if this was navigation, we're going to style these links differently than all the other links on the page, like all the absolute links to go to other places. I'm thinking about your resume now. Because we don't want, for instance, a visited on navigation. We want them always to be active and workable. But we could do other hover state for sure. In fact, you would want a hover state. So there's more link styling to be done, and we'll learn more about that later. But I want to show you how that worked. And do you want to see how those blocks look, the blocks that we styled? Well, then release this additional comment here. For the border, now I'm showing you where the border is on these links, the A's, which I've given now a border color and size to. Now you can see where the border is, okay? Now, of course, you could put some bottom margin on this whole thing. You can make it bigger. You can remove the border, and you can put a color on it. You can do lots of other things. So it's a simple navigation. Now, when you're working on your navigation, you're actually going to go to this page or the next assignment we're going to do, which is the navigation. And I believe the best thing for you to do is to start to steal navigation ideas from my assignments and from some other sources I'm going to give you and work them into your page. You're going to have navigation HTML on every page, but the styling that you do on it, like this stuff here, is all going to be in your main CSS file. Oh, by the way, once you release that navigation, that's the end of this assignment, so you go ahead and save it and zip it up and send it in.